Hello there on this chilly midwinter Southern California evening. I kind of like these evenings when they're cold and rainy like this because they're great times for meditation and introspection. And the topic on my mind at this very moment happens to be one of the most powerful forces in the universe. And it is the most important factor in achieving and manifesting your dreams. The force I'm talking about, of course, is love. So, what do I mean by this? What I mean by love and why you need it in order to achieve anything, and that's not necessarily true. I mean, hate is also a motivator, but love is a different sort of power, whereas hate is more like a force. So, you can use force, which uses up a lot of resources and effort, but power is preservation of energy. You don't use hardly as much, it's almost effortless. And so the way you want to achieve things in life in the most efficient ways, you want to do it by power, in a powerful way, not a forceful way. So let me get into this love thing. What do I mean by why do you need love? Because the thing is, if you're brought into this world, you have two people and they bring a person into the world. If that person is loved, if they are given love, that's all they actually really need, because you can send them off anywhere into any circumstances or situations, but if they had felt love at an early age or at all, at any age, you will always have hope, because there's something about the force of love that when you tap into it, there's a divine, endless resource of energy that you have access to. And so how do you let the love, the power of it, infect you? You have to open your heart. That's the first step. You got to open your heart. So how do you open your heart? You just have to not be a dick in a lot of ways. It's just getting rid of your ego. So you got to be happy for others, and you got to understand other people's struggles. So if you see people that you don't agree with, that you might think they're morons or idiots, you got to let them just go through their journey, and you got to just let them go through whatever they're going through, because that's the way reality operates. It doesn't ever stay still. It's always changing. Like if you look at somebody's life, they're not who they are at 35. They're not just who they were when they were 6 years old. And they're not just who they are when they, or if they turn 100. They're a continuum. And so when you don't judge things or people and you have an open heart, it means you don't have any bitterness or resentment. And it means you accept reality the way it is. And it doesn't mean that if you see injustices or if you see someone get mugged that you shouldn't do something. That's not what it means. In fact, because if you have an open heart with no bitterness or resentment or anything like that in your heart, you will find it actually easier to have the courage to do something in a situation like that, as opposed to having a bunch of fear, which is what you would have if you don't have enough love in your life. Or the thing about the love in your life, though, it doesn't have to come from other people. This is what I'm saying. It has to actually come from you by opening your heart to other people. And once you do that, love can find its way to you. It can find its way in and through all your blood vessels, arteries, and muscles. And you will have this love flowing throughout your whole system, replenishing, rejuvenating, and strengthening and fortifying your physical body as well. So you need to have it. If you find yourself, because we all are human, this is the other thing. If you stress out a human enough, if you stack on enough pressure and stress and anguish and turmoil, people will break eventually, and they will change. They can find themselves experiencing rageful emotions that is not usually how they are. But if this goes on for too many years, then you become that person. And that person is not functional, is not free in their mind or body, and therefore cannot operate or do anything or even problem solve in a clear thinking manner. Worrying is not the same thing as thinking. Mentation is a creative process. It's not a destructive, worrisome process, because worrying does nothing except hinder you. A little bit of anxiety is good, but we're talking about stacking it on to the point where there are fissures and there is eventually a breaking point. That's why some people, this is actually a real thing, have panic attacks in midlife. It has to do with the fact that unconsciously they could be carrying a lot of unconscious fear, stress, and like I said, you can carry this lighter. It doesn't weigh a lot. But if you were to carry this and hold it like this for 5 days, eventually it will be heavy, and eventually your hand will get tired, and eventually you will drop it. So the body is no different. It could take some stress, it could take a poor diet, but if you combine poor diet, stress, a shitty attitude, and all these other components, and you keep stacking it up, eventually there's a breaking point. So letting love into your life by having an open heart, let people just be who they are. You know, if unless it's confronting you and you got to do something and the spotlight is calling upon you right now to use your strength to take action on something, then you got to do it. But of course, what I'm talking about is your baseline state of being should be one where you have an open heart. And this way, forgiveness will come and we can move on from things. And if I really am a big believer in redemption, because I really believe that people, like I said, put in any kind of stressful situation that is too much, will resort to their primal instincts. So that is just human nature. So that's why I'm a big firm believer in redemption. And as long as one can see what they did wrong and actually realize it and own it, and then start making the steps to change, then that's why I believe in, I think that is justice. I even think people, they go to jail and stuff. If they serve the time, if they own it, and they genuinely make a change, dude, that's great. And you'll notice the ones who do make that change, how do they usually do it? Sometimes they'll find it through religion and through religion or God, and that's really great because that opens their heart in ways that their heart was not open before. And so that's why, wow, they were committing all these crimes and doing all these shenanigans because they didn't have an open heart. And now that they do, the world is a bigger playground for them, and they don't have to resort to the lower base instincts that, unfortunately, in different archaic times or situations, it is there because it is part of human history. It is in our DNA, and we have been there. We have all been there at some point in wars, in taking part in atrocities, and we've all lived this experience before because humanity as a whole, whether we like each other or not, is one consciousness. And we're all experiencing this consciousness in separate bodies, right? But that's really the secret to freedom, is opening your heart. And once you have that, you have courage. Once you have that, you already have an imagination. And when you mix all that stuff together, it's magic. So that's my message for everybody tonight, something positive. Thank you.